Hey out there, legal warriors. In this video, I'm going to cover the 3 reasons why criminal cases take so long and what might surprise you why that's not a bad thing if you happen to be charged with a crime. So stay tuned. This is a great video for you. My name is Attorney Lance Fryrear. I'm a defense attorney in Linwood, Washington. My law firm's been defending people charged with crimes all throughout Washington state for more than 20 years. And I'm putting out these videos to help educate the public. So if you find this useful, please like and please subscribe. More people get the help they need. Now I'm just going to jump right into it. What are the 3 reasons why criminal cases take so long to resolve? And also then, why is that a good thing? And why could we argue it's a good thing if you happen to be unfortunate enough to be charged with a crime? Well, I think the 3 reasons why they take so long, number 1 would be the fact that there's already so many cases in the system, right? Does that make any sense? Just think about it. There are thousands and thousands of criminal cases, and each one has a right to a jury trial, but yet only 1% of those maybe even can go to jury trial. So you have all these people in the legal system trying to work towards getting resolutions in cases without trials, and that takes a long time. And while cases were taking a long time to begin with, COVID made it even worse. In Washington state, for multiple months, the courts were shut down. There was no way to resolve a case. But yet, people kept committing crimes. The police didn't quit arresting people. People didn't end up without criminal charges for months. No, some would say there's even more criminal charges because everybody went a little crazy going through this terrible situation. So cases were already taking a long time to resolve. Now they got even worse about why cases take so long to get resolved in the criminal system. How long does something take? It used to be 3 to 6 months for your average non-felony case. Now I would say it's 6 months to a year for most non-felony cases, gross misdemeanor cases. Felonies, they used to take a year. I think 2 years is pretty quick nowadays, based upon what's at stake in the felony land. So just the sheer volume is one reason. The second reason criminal cases take a long time to resolve is there is not a lot of incentive on either side to move the case very fast. There's certainly no incentive for the defendant to hurry up the jeopardy that they're in and make it and be convicted of a crime and be put in jail potentially. Delay is part of human life when there's something that we don't want to deal with. And also for the prosecution, there's no real incentive to move it quickly. They don't get a reward for the case being over sooner. What they get is just more work, right? To get a case over sooner, they have to do more work, and they're already overwhelmed. So I think one reason why cases and that take so long in criminal is there is no incentive. Think about it in lawsuits about money, personal injury, there is incentive. If you get the lawsuit over with more quickly, the person entitled to money gets money more quickly, right? And that's what they want. Same way with family law. If the family law case gets over more quickly, you get custody of your kids more quickly. So there's different incentives in criminal law than there would be in other areas of the law. I think the third reason why cases take so long to resolve is defense strategy, okay? And that ties into why it can be a good thing if a case takes a while to resolve. Defense strategy. The defense in a criminal case has no burden of proof in most cases. There's a few types of charges where there's an affirmative defense. But for the most part in criminal cases, the defendant doesn't have to prove anything. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. And in cases where there's a victim on the prosecution side, think about human nature. When we are, something bad happens to us, we are the most mad when it first happens. As time passes, we might still be mad, but it fades. The sting and the pain can fade. Not in all cases, but in many cases, right? A hit and run case. Someone damaged your car and took off. You're really mad week 1. A year from now, you've got so many other things to be mad about, you may not even want to deal with it, right? So as time passes, usually the anger of cases that have victims dissipate. What about cases that don't have victims? Do you always have victims? A DUI, the public is a victim, but let's say it's just a professional witness, no one got ran over, thank God, or anything like that. Well, sometimes a professional witness moves or quits or gets in trouble himself, a law enforcement officer, state patrol, whoever. If that witness is no longer available to the prosecution, they're not going to be able to prove their case. This also applies to the prosecutor. The first time a prosecutor sees a case, it's fair to guess that's when they're most shocked by the report. They've seen the report 4 or 5 times, they're less shocked by it. Oh yeah, that case. And finally, defense strategy says delay doesn't hurt because witnesses' memories fade, right? As time passes, people don't remember things as well, and therefore, if a case happens to take longer, that's not necessarily a bad thing for the defense. So I'm not saying defendants purposely continue things for that to happen, but I'm saying that's one reason is that it's not necessarily a good idea to move cases really quickly if you're on the defense side, because you might be creating yourself a more difficult road to hoe, so to speak, than if you are taking more of a normal amount of time to resolve the case. Why else does time help a case from the defendant's point of view? Why is it a good idea to not rush things? Because it makes the defendant a better risk for the prosecutor. If a defendant goes 6 months or a year without any legal problems, well, it's less urgent that we correct the original legal problem now as a prosecutor. Additionally, it gives the defendant some time to do things. If you've watched any of my videos, you realize that prosecutors' jobs are not to let defendants go, but they are to respond to the case in some way. And if a defendant does nothing, does no educational classes, does nothing, you give the prosecutor no choice but to respond with trying to go for a conviction, because the defendant hasn't taken any responsibility, right? So if the defendant does something, an anger management class, domestic violence MRT classes, alcohol treatment, drug treatment, counseling, therapy, now the prosecutor can feel they've been part of a response. Look at what the defendant's done. Even if they didn't specifically ask for it, they still are part of that response. We're doing it for the case. Time passing allows a defendant or a suspect to get that done. And now that we've got that done and you've stayed out of trouble, you're a better risk. People care less on the victim side. Boy, that's a much easier negotiation for everybody, because the prosecutor needs a way out of the case too. They can't take it all to trial. And if you've watched can't take all cases to trial. If you've watched my other videos, everybody needs to maintain their status in the status game that we're all playing, right? A prosecutor needs to respond to the case. It's part of their job. The defense needs a certain type of result to help their client, right? The court needs to feel good about the result because they have a role to protect the public. And so while people are not on the same team, there is really great defense work, I think, gets everybody on the same team in a way to get a result that can work for everybody to maintain their own self-interest, their own status, their own position in their role in the criminal system. And any attorney can just go take a case to trial, but that's always an option at the end. But that's the highest risk way to do things. And therefore, as time passes, you improve your chances of getting an alternative result. That's great. And also, if it does get to a trial, hopefully the witnesses don't remember as much by then. Again, so these are the reasons why criminal cases take so long, and why, if you're a defendant, don't get too upset about that. And of course, we realize it's stressful being the defendant. It's stressful if you're in that situation, having this hang over your head for that long. And there's ways we can deal with that. But what's most important, hopefully, is the overall result, because the collateral consequences of criminal convictions are very real. And, not be able to rent an apartment, not be able to travel certain places, loss of job, loss of freedom, all types of problems. So I think hopefully what we understand is what's most important is result, and good results take time. So I hope you found this video useful. If so, please like and please subscribe. More people get the help they need. But more importantly, if you have a criminal situation, you need some help, feel free to give my office a call. We've been defending people charged with crimes all throughout Washington State for more than 20 years. We'll listen to what happened, we'll identify a way forward, and we will be there for you. Thank you.